Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ali. I'm a junior doctor working in Cambridge, and in this video, I'm going to be taking you through the apps on my iPhone. So to give this video some semblance of structure, I'm going to be talking about these apps in 6 distinct categories, and these are all going to be timestamped in the description below and in a pinned comment so you can skip around if you feel like it. These are firstly, organization and productivity. Secondly, education and learning. Thirdly, reading, writing, audio and music, and photo and video. So I'll be taking you through the apps I use and kind of describing each one. Let's just get into it. All right, so there's 5 apps in this category, and let's start by talking about my email client, which is Microsoft Outlook. Yeah, I know, Microsoft makes really good apps for iOS. Who'd have thought? So I'd actually been using Inbox by Gmail for the last few months, but then it was announced that Google was going to be retiring support for that. So I switched to Outlook on the recommendation of The Verge, who've done a fantastic video talking about the best email client for iOS, and they decided that Microsoft Outlook was the best. And who am I to disagree with them? Yeah, I've been using it for the last few weeks. I really like it. The calendar app that I like to use is called Fantastical, and this does cost money. It's available for iOS and it's available for macOS. And the main reason I like it is because it's got this really good natural language processing thing on it. So let's say I were to write pathology lecture tomorrow at 10 a.m. at LT1. I can just write it out and it automatically knows what the event is, where it is, what time it is. And that just makes the process of adding stuff to my calendar so convenient. And I found this particularly helpful when I was a student and when I had loads of lectures and stuff to record on my calendar. Number 3, my to-do list is called Things. And I've talked about this in my video about what's on my Mac as well. Again, it's got a Mac app. I really like it. It's really well designed. It's a really nice to-do list and getting things done. Good book, by the way, you should read it. Approach to productivity, and you can sort it into the different areas of your life. So I've got an area for work, an area for SixMed, my side company, my online courses, my YouTube stuff, some tech videos coming up. This is sort of what I've got planned. Yeah, really nice to-do list. Again, costs money, but to be honest, I'm more than happy to pay money for premium apps that I think add a little bit of value to my life in terms of productivity and organization. Point number 4 is not really an app, more of an indispensable utility in my life that I really can't function without, and that is Google Drive. Because I store absolutely everything in my life on Google Drive. I've got folders for, from my 6th form years all the way through the 6 years of university, folders for work, folders for all the design, coding, or pretty much everything I've ever done in my life for the last 8 years has been put on Google Drive. I absolutely love having Google Drive. I pay the £80 a year for the 1 terabyte option, and I've used about 300 gigs of it so far. It's just incredible. And if you're not using some kind of cloud backup solution for stuff, then I'd highly recommend Google Drive. It's wonderful. And point number 5, let's talk about passwords. And the app I use for that is 1Password, which I will now unlock with Face ID. Yep, there we go. I've got the phone resting over there with the second camera angle, so I have to kind of lean over it. No, never mind. Anyway, so 1Password obviously manages all my passwords. I think everyone kind of knows about Password Manager these days. There's like 1Password, LastPass, or whatever they're called these days. To be honest, I've been using it for so long that I have really found no reason to try any others. And again, it's something I pay for. I pay the £40 a year or whatever it costs for the subscription. And I think, to be honest, that's worth every penny, because an account getting compromised, especially if, like a lot of people, you've got your whole life on the internet, then that could be really, really bad. And what is £40 a year? The price of peace of mind, as they say. All right, so apps for learning and education, and there's 3 things that I want to talk about here. Firstly, Rosetta Stone, which is a fantastic language learning app, and who are also incidentally sponsoring this video, so thank you very much to Rosetta Stone. And I've been using Rosetta Stone to learn Japanese for the last few months. I've kind of been a bit on and off with it. It's a habit that I need to develop. I'm reading a very good book at the moment called Atomic Habits by James Clear. You should definitely check that out. But I'm trying to build this habit that every day I just do a little bit of Japanese practice. And Rosetta Stone makes it quite easy. It kind of gamifies the whole process, and it kind of makes it fun, and it makes you say stuff out loud. So you practice your speaking as well as, actually being able to understand the language. So that's really good. Secondly, for my flashcard needs, I use Quizlet these days. I've recently switched to Quizlet from Anki. I used to use Anki for med school, but I've switched to Quizlet because it's cool and because it feels better designed, and it's just pretty, and it makes kind of going through my flashcards a bit more fun to do rather than a chore. I used to find that Anki was a chore, but of course I still have Anki on my phone. And I don't know, I've got tons of decks for loads of stuff. I ended up not really using much of them through my clinical school years, but back in the day, in my preclinical years, in years 1 to 3, I used Anki to memorize anatomy and to memorize pharmacology, all the list of drugs that we have to learn as medical students, and it was really good for that. So yeah, 3 apps for learning and education, and let's move on. All right, let's talk about apps for reading now. And I absolutely love reading. I don't really like reading on my phone that much because I've got an iPad Pro, this thing, or I've got my plan for this video. iPad Pro, and I've got a Kindle as well, but I still have 6 apps for reading on my phone. Firstly is the Kindle app. And yeah, it's great. All of my books are on Kindle. I don't use physical books anymore. I've gone completely paperless, and actually, oh, this is that book, Atomic Habits. So I was actually reading that at work when I had a spare 10 minutes while sitting on the toilet earlier today. So the Kindle app is really useful for those sorts of moments. It's really nice to use. You can like turn the brightness right the way down so it doesn't really strain your eyes too much. And yeah, I love Kindle. Secondly, let's talk about Pocket, which is what I use to save articles to read later. Would recommend. There's other stuff like Instapaper out there, but again, I've been using Pocket since, I don't know, God knows how long. I started using it in secondary school. So it's kind of nice looking back through my archive of articles and seeing what I was reading when I was like, I don't know, 16 years old, however long ago that was. But yeah, Pocket is great for saving articles that you don't have the time to read right now, but you've come across a link, you can just save it and you can read it in the nice little interface a little bit later on. Thirdly, I've got the Medium app, which I really enjoy using. I'm a subscriber to Medium. I pay the £5 a month or whatever it is, and I get the daily email that has my Medium digest. And it's just kind of nice. When I click on a link in the email, it opens in the app rather than, in a browser window. And the app is a very nice reading experience. Oh, look, why you should stop being so hard on yourself. Yeah, nice reading experience, good for highlighting stuff. Yeah. I quite enjoy Medium. Fourthly, let's talk about Reader, which is my RSS feed reader. And yeah, I thought RSS feeds were dead as well until I came across an article on the Sweet Setup, which talked about the best, RSS feed reader for iOS and said Reader was the one. And yeah, it's really great. So I connect my Feedly account to it, and in my Feedly account, I subscribe to all the different feeds. In fact, let's have a look at the categories. At the moment, minimalism, productivity, money, product, medical ethics, and I intend to expand these over time. And it's just kind of nice because I follow about 50 different blogs. And it's a bit annoying having to check the websites. So I just open Reader about once a week when I've, made some time to browse through some articles and kind of have a flick through the list to see if there's anything interesting to read. Yeah, really good on that front. Would recommend having an RSS feed aggregator if you follow a lot of blogs like I do. Number 5, not very exciting. My Twitter client is Tweetbot. Yeah, it's good. It's a Twitter app. It does what it should. It does Twitter. So yeah, nothing exciting there. And finally, an app that I like to have is actually Goodreads. So I read a lot of books, or at least like to think so, and every time I start reading them on Kindle, it's got this option to automatically add to my Goodreads. So my Goodreads is like a running total of all the books I've ever read. And actually, when I made a Goodreads account first a few years ago, I took the time, it took a few hours. It was like quite a fun few hours to like add all the books I could remember ever having read into Goodreads and just giving them a quick rating out of 5 based on what I thought of them. And I think that is really nice. I really like doing this whole tracking thing, and because I anticipate I'm going to be reading books quite often for the rest of my life. It's just kind of cool to see every year, you've read 40 books. These are the books you've read. These have been your favorite ones. Oh, reading Atomic Habits at the moment. See, it's got that right. I've got a list of books that I want to read, a list of books that I've read. And yeah, I'd really recommend Goodreads, and it's definitely worth taking the time. I've spoken to so many people who say that it would be kind of cool to track kind of the books they've read, the films they've watched, that sort of stuff. But it's just that initial setup process where you have to add everything you've ever read. It's quite fun. Would recommend if you haven't tried it already. All right, so let's talk about apps for writing, and there are 5 things in this category. And firstly is Notability, which is an app that I've got on my iPad. I've made an extensive video about this that's gotten lots of views, which is very exciting. But it's quite nice having the Notability app on my phone. And actually, earlier today, I've just gotten back from one of my late evening shifts at the hospital. It finished about 9 p.m. But at one point, my iPad ran out of battery, and that was really annoying. So until it took a few minutes to get some juice back. But in that time, one of my seniors was giving me a list of stuff to do. So I actually opened up Notability on my phone. The note that I had for the day, which I use Notability to manage my to-do lists. I'll do a video about that at some point. But the note I had for the day was already synced thanks to, iCloud Sync or whatever it is. And I was able to add stuff to my to-do list, jobs to do at the hospital. And then once my iPad got some more battery, I went straight back to it and it just automatically updated. And that was just like a really nice user experience. So I use the iPad and Notability to manage my to-do list in the hospital, because otherwise you're kind of writing on a scrap of paper and it's very easy for that to get lost, and the iPad's encrypted and all of that stuff. Secondly, the app that I tend to use for note-taking, kind of if I have to write stuff on the fly, or if I'm writing a piece for my email newsletter or my blog, you can check it out at aliabdal.com, link in description, is Bear Writer. It's a really nicely designed app. You can write in Markdown. It's good formatting. It's quite simple. It's quite a minimalistic kind of interface. And I think I picked this up again because there was a review from The Verge saying that was the best writer, like note-taking app for iOS. This was a few years ago. So I switched from Evernote to Bear, and it was quite easy to import all my notes across. But yeah, no, Bear is really good. I write stuff on it, and then I copy and paste it into my blog or in my email, and it's just nice. It's just a very minimalistic note-taking app. Recently, though, I have decided to give Evernote another try, which is why Evernote is now on my front page. And I'm starting to use Evernote again because I think it's a bit more full-featured, and I want a full-featured note-taking app to take notes for my upcoming postgraduate medical exams. I'll report back once I've done more testing of Evernote, Bear, OneNote, all the kind of note-taking apps for iOS, and decide which one is my favorite. But, I've got my notebooks this is my obstetrics and gynecology syllabus, clinical skills, governance, blah, 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 all of these different bits of the syllabus. And then the idea is that within these, I'll have separate notes for each of the topics. And I've already made a video kind of explaining this in a bit more detail. That will also be linked in the description if that's the sort of thing that floats your boat. So Evernote is what I'm using right now to take notes, but while I was in medical school and pretty much all through it, I did use OneNote to take notes. And yeah, I've got my notebook that has all the various medical subjects in it, and let's go into extended clinical cases, and then there's all these different notes that I've got for each of these various things. And yeah, I should probably go through this at some point to categorize these and to learn from them. But yeah, overall, I really enjoy using OneNote back when I was in medical school. The reason I moved away from it is because I didn't like a few little things about it, but I'll be doing some more testing later on. And the reason I've still got it on my phone is because it's kind of nice to refer back to my med school notes at some points if I have to. And finally, and this sort of comes under the category of writing, the app that I use for my journaling habit is Day One. And I really, really, really love Day One. Again, this is something that I subscribe to the premium version of, which is like £2 a month or something like that. And the idea behind Day One is that you can just very easily add to your journal. And there was this thing I read, I think on the sweetsetup.co.uk.com, is that quantity is what makes quality in a journal. Like the more quantity you can add to it over time, the better a journal is going to be. So occasionally I have these stints where I post something in the journal like every night, but then I go for a few weeks without posting. And you can make different journals of it with it as well. So I've got one for my personal journal. I've got one for memorabilia. It's where I take photos of birthday cards or, sentimental items and things, stuff that I'm not going to carry around with me, but I think is nice to remember. Therefore, I take a photo of it. And thirdly, I have a journal for nice comments that I get from people via YouTube and Instagram. So here's one from today, actually. Hi, I've done my BMAT next week. Oh, your video's been really helpful. Yeah, it's really nice to get this. And then I replied. Here's another one from some guy from Australia who got into med school and wanted to say thank you. So just kind of stuff like that. It's really nice keeping a record of, and you can just kind of flick through and it saves all the images, and it's all, synced via iCloud and stuff, obviously. So yeah, I use Day One for my personal journaling to, take photographs of memorabilia and to record nice comments. All right, next category, audio and music. And there are 4 things I want to talk about here. Firstly, Spotify is my music thing of choice. I am fully Apple fanboy, here's the watch, in every respect, except I absolutely hate Apple Music. I tried switching to it twice, actually, because I was like, I really want to like Apple Music. I really want to be the sort of guy that uses Apple everything, that's got a HomePod. It's got 3 HomePods in the house. I wanted to be that sort of guy, but, every time I've tried, I've ended up hating the user experience of Apple Music. Sorry, Apple, if you're watching this video, you're probably not, but I just think Spotify is a better product. And of course, I pay for Spotify Premium. And I'm still on the student discount, actually, thanks to Uni Days, who sponsored a previous video. So you should check them out if you're still a student, or if you've just graduated from being a student, because you can drag out the student discount for a year after you graduate, which is a really mind-blowing feature. Anyway, yeah, Spotify is fantastic. Secondly, for audiobooks, I use Audible. I absolutely love Audible. It's probably one of the apps that has most affected my life in a positive way. And at the moment, I'm listening to Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. It's the 2nd book in the Stormlight Archives, would recommend. And yeah, there's various things that I've listened to on Audible. I'll also put an affiliate link in the description below. So if you click on that, I'll make a few pounds to buy a coffee from, you can sign up to a free trial as well. Genuinely, it's really good. Audible has changed my life in the sense that now if I have to do a long car journey or a long train journey, I don't not look forward to that time anymore. I just kind of think, oh, okay, cool. I'll just put on my audiobook and listen. And actually today, while skateboarding home from work on my boosted board mini, I was listening to Words of Radiance. And then when I got home, it got to this really, really, really good bit. So I just kind of lay on the sofa. I had Alexa, I don't want to say too loud. I had Alexa at the back playing the audiobook while I was just kind of lounging on the couch. And it's just really nice. I absolutely love Audible. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Thirdly, the app I use for podcasts is Overcast. So let's have a quick look. So, The Art of Manliness, College Info, Geek, Couples Therapy. Yeah, there's loads of podcasts that I listen to. Recently, my favorites have been The Ground Up Show by Matt D'Avella, which is really, really good. And also the Tim Ferriss Show that I've been listening to for years and years. Where is it? Over there. I also really like Sam Harris's podcast occasionally. And yeah, podcasting, really good. When I'm not listening to an audiobook, if I've got my headphones in or my AirPods, then I'm listening to a podcast, and it makes long drives really pleasant, and you learn a lot through podcasts as well. It's really, really great. People, if you've not tried podcasts, you should check them out, and Overcast so far has been my favorite app, although admittedly I haven't really tried many others. And finally, an app that I find really useful to have is the Ultimate Guitar Tabs app, where you can pretty much type in any song on the planet and it will give you the chords for that song. So this was actually how I learned to play the piano, like, you know, the piano next to me. Just like bring up a song. So like earlier today I was practicing In My Blood by Shawn Mendes. You can pick the song. It's a bit too high, so you can like transpose it down by like 8 semitones if you have to, if you've got a bass voice like I do. And you play the chords and you sing the song, and it's like really, really cool. And if you've got a guitar, there's a guitar in the background over there. Coincidentally, I didn't plan that. If you play the guitar, or like if you're ever around friends and someone says, oh, you know, bust out the guitar, it's a really great app that you can just bring the chords up and kind of play along, and you feel cool because, you know, you're helping everyone have fun by, you know, playing stuff on the guitar. Wow, this video has gone on for a really long time. If you're still with us, thank you. Hopefully we're still all having fun. There are 4 apps that I want to talk about in the photo category. So firstly is Preview, and Preview is an app that I use to plan out my Instagram feed. At one point I was trying to kind of maintain a theme, keep to a similar aesthetic. So Preview just lets you kind of load up photos for Instagram, and you can kind of move them around. And let's say I want this photo of the hamster to be put next to the chicken, and you can kind of like move them around, and it shows you your previous feed as well, so you can kind of plan things aesthetically. So Preview is really good for that. The app I use to edit my photos these days is oh, hello, that's a photo of me. It's Lightroom. This was me attempting to take a selfie at work earlier today and using the new portrait mode on iOS. So maybe you'll see the portrait mode of this image. But the nice thing about Lightroom on iOS is that it pretty much has a lot of the features of the desktop app. So on my MacBook, I use Lightroom to edit all my photos. But, you know, let's say I want to snap a quick photo at a restaurant or something for Instagram. I can bring it into Lightroom and apply presets to it. So there's this preset pack that I bought. It's quite expensive, actually. That just gives you some nice sets of presets that you can use. I think this is the Do You Travel Presets app. Yeah, it's quite good. I intend to expand my collection of presets a bit more. And these are just a lot nicer than the filters that you get built into Instagram. And then you can tweak stuff about the images as well. So if I wanted to change exposure or highlights or whatever, I'd be able to do that using the Lightroom app. Yeah, would recommend if you're into this whole photo editing sort of stuff. Thirdly, an app that I use almost every week is Spark Post, made by Adobe. And this is actually how I make all of the beautiful thumbnails for my YouTube videos. So I just take a screenshot of the video, bring it into Spark Post. Whoa, okay, it's loading all the stuff. Bring it into Spark Post, and then let's look at this one, iPhone XS Max. You just kind of click on it, and then you can change the text. You can like darken and lighten the background. And it's just like a nice, easy way of generating thumbnails. And yeah, to be honest, I could put them into Photoshop and do exactly the same thing. But it's just so convenient having an app to do it. Like all I have to do is screenshot the bit of the video that I want, airdrop it over to my phone, open up Spark Post, put some text on it, airdrop it back to my computer so I can upload it to YouTube. Bit of a roundabout process, but it saves me from having to open Photoshop. I made this point before, but pretty much anything I can do to reduce the friction that it takes to do stuff in this content production space is going to be worth it. And finally in this category, the app that I use to vlog when I am vlogging on my iPhone, which I don't do very often, is Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is wonderful. It lets you film in 4K. It lets you change the bitrate and set it really high. There's tutorials on the internet on how to use Filmic Pro to its max, but you can also shoot in different frame rates. And here is a little bit from my vlog where I was vlogging my night shift in the emergency department, so you can see what some of the Filmic Pro footage looks like on the iPhone XS Max. It's really good. It filmed in 4K. Usually I film in 25 frames per second, but if I want to, I can switch to 1080p and 100 frames per second to film in that buttery slow-mo. It's less good, obviously, than like a standard camera would be, but you know, for any sort of vlogging purposes, I really like Filmic Pro as my video app of choice. Oh, and finally, one thing I forgot to mention, app number 5 is one that I actually use for my Instagram stories, and that is Cut Story. And the idea behind this is that you can just upload a video. So if I'm, for example, filming myself singing, I can upload a video. It'll automatically cut that video into kind of 15-second segments so that when you post them to an Instagram story, you can like post them one in a row without having much of a break between the thing. So yeah, Cut Story is really good for that, and that's a quick plug that if you're not following me on Instagram, you might like to. I post photos of me and my friends when we're at work, and photos and like videos of myself singing songs if you're into that sort of thing. All right, so that brings us to the end of the video. Whew, that was long, so thank you very much for watching if you're still here. I really hope you gained something interesting from that. If you want to see a more detailed kind of review of any of the apps that I've used, please could you let me know in the comments, or if you've got any other things, any suggestions for me to talk about. I want to be doing more tech videos like this one, and I love talking about tech and apps and all of this sort of stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. Have a lovely day, and I will see you hopefully in the next video. Good night.